Alright boys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking diamonds. We're going to take a look at my 4-4-2 diamond I've been using in my Manchester United save that I have every Sunday night right here on the YouTube, 7 PM. Go check it out. Now, we've got a special little bit of extra bits with you today. We're going to go through the tactic, player instructions, team instructions. As usual, we'll take a look at the how it looks in the match engine. We're also very importantly going to look at opposition instructions. Absolutely vital for this tactic. We're also going to take a little look using the opposition instructions, and we're going to take a little look using my fancy, well, it's not fancy, it's a tactics board that I got for my birthday, and we're going to go through and I'll just help you explain what we need the opposition instructions to do. Okay, there's loads of goals, not much in terms of possession, but it is all based about short, quick passes through the midfield, get the two strikers going in behind. Can we then get overlaps in from the fullbacks as well? And then bodies in the box. Very simple. I've been using this not only in my Manchester United save, but I've also started using it in my Burnley save that I'm doing live on Twitch every Saturday night. So go check that out. Links in the description. Go and give me a follow. So it's kind of working both ways. It's working with an OP side, I suppose, in Manchester United. We've signed some superb players. But I'm also in Season 1 with Burnley, and I'm really happy with how it is looking. Okay guys, tactic links to everything down below as per usual. Head you over to FM Scout, you've got your direct download link that you put in your folder, and also a link so you can download it from Steam. Alright guys, let's get into today's tactic video. Okay, so here we are, the United Diamond. Now, stats-wise, it's done pretty good. It's racked up 123 goals. If we look at the team's stats, I think it's about 3.24 goals per game. Yeah, 3.24 goals per game. So a lot of goals. As you can see, though, average possession, not much. Not much at all. We are down in 11th, 51% possession. So not massive in terms of possession. I think that's down to the general formation of the diamond, and obviously it's kind of difficult to press, and I've set my pressing triggers up in certain ways that it means that we're not going to be trying to win the ball back all the time. I'm a little bit worried. Obviously we've got weaknesses down the outside with the diamond, so it's important to press at the right times. We'll go through that in a little bit, but I think that's affecting why the possession stats are a little bit lower. Alright, so that's just a little indicator of what the team does. Now, I've been using this tactic, not only in my Manchester United save, but I've also been using it in my Burnley save, which I'm doing live on Twitch Saturday nights. Go drop a follow down in the description, muchly appreciated. We were struggling, we're in a bit of a relegation fight, and I thought, let's get the diamond going. And it has worked really, really well. We've picked up a few impressive results. We've drawn against Manchester City, picked up a few good wins with a Burnley side that in Football Manager is pretty poor. So obviously, number one, it works with a team like Manchester United. Most tactics work with Manchester United, but if you wanted to get a front two going, I'm lucky. I've got Lewandowski and Ronaldo. I've also just signed Haaland as well, so we want to keep them happy, so playing with a front two makes sense. And on the other hand, it then works with the Burnley, who are not great in Football Manager, and it has worked really, really well. So I think it's a tactic. If you get the players to suit it and the roles that we're looking for and the style of player for these roles, you will be good, I think, no matter what team you are playing with. Alright, so let's take a look at the team. We've got Henderson in goal, sweeper keeper on attack. I'll go through player instructions as we go. At the right back, we've got a complete wing back on support, Mark Tighter. We've got two centre-halves, Mark Tighter, ball-playing defenders. One of the centre-halves, it's up to you. I'm just using this side generally because a lot of time it is actually Harry Maguire. I want him to dribble more as well. So I want him to progress the ball into midfield when possible to create a little bit more of an overload. And on the left, we've got the left back, complete wing back on attack, Mark Tighter. Now, this is the role that I have absolutely loved. I'm going to do a separate video on the half-back in a bit because it is an absolutely brilliant role. Up there with the Mazzala as in my favourite role on FM. Now, half-back on defend, no instructions. We're going to talk a lot about it in the tactics board. We're also going to talk about him in the match engine as well, and just the vital role that he plays. In midfield, we've got Mazzala on attack. It's Fernandez, so I want him shooting more often. I want him to mark tighter. We want to really get that overload and press in there. We're going to be trying to force the play inside. So I want him to be ready, marking tighter as central midfielder so we can win the ball back. And then obviously tackle harder. And then the box-to-box midfielder, dribble more, tackle harder. It is often Bellingham, who I've got as well. So we want Bellingham to carry the ball. So it makes sense to have him dribbling more. Shadow striker, no separate instructions. Complete forward, tackle harder and mark tighter. Moving on to in possession. Attacking width, we've got fairly wide. Now, at times, I change it in games. I think, especially when we're playing against teams against a low block, this is where you need to sort of like change it up. Normally, I keep it on fairly wide as standard, and we're normally okay. If you're playing against a team with a low block, what I tend to do is move it right out onto extremely wide, just so it opens the pitch out a little bit more. It'll get your midfielders, your Mazzala, working the half spaces still, but it will also get your fullbacks going round a little bit wider. It will probably get your strikers moving into wide areas a little bit more as well. Just opens out the pitch a little bit more and helps you break down what will normally be a really stubborn defence with a team using a low block. Approach play, we're not getting pass into space on, we're playing out of defence, slighter shorter passing. I think this has an indication of what type of passing we're doing and why the percentage is not massive. We're just keeping it pretty much on bog standard. I'm not asking them to do really small passes for the sake of it, and then higher tempo, never time wasting. I haven't done anything here because we want crosses in the box anyway, because we've got two strikers, and then be more expressive. We don't necessarily want dribble more on. I always find a diamond is more about the combination of the four in terms of passing through the thirds. That's what I want. I don't necessarily want players dribbling too much. I have got that extra position on Bellingham, but that's just to create something a little bit different in midfield. In transition, we are counter-pressing, of course, and counter-pressing, and then countering when we've got it. Pretty of a bog standard FM kind of system. Nothing in terms of goalkeeper in possession, but we are looking him to distribute to his defenders and his fullbacks, and he's taking short kicks. We want to build possession from the back. And then finally, moving on to out of possession, we're going to use the half-size trap with a much higher defensive line. So really aggressive. We are trying to dominate the game as much as we can. We want to be high up the pitch. My thought a little bit was behind it was Ralph Rangnick's original plan with Manchester United, with getting up high up the pitch and quick vertical passes to go through the middle of the midfield and get two strikers in the box. That's how I was planning on doing it. So we wanted to be aggressive that way. Using the offside trap, as I said, higher line of engagement. I don't necessarily want them to be closing down the goalkeeper and the centre halves. We'll talk about that in a little bit of a time. Force opposition inside. We've got our overload with the diamond in midfield, so it makes sense to force the opposition inside whenever we can. Marking and tackling, no specific instructions there because we've got certain players doing those certain roles anyway. Prevent short distribution, haven't done that either. I don't mind them kicking it straight down the middle, not a problem. Trigger press much more often, and just a personal preference that I always have on my teams, get stuck in. All right, there is the tactic. Now, okay, right, here we are, tactics board. Let me know your thoughts on this sort of like little snippet of using the tactic board to help explain what we want from the tactic. Now, the issue that we've got is these two massive areas here, the wide areas where we have generally a 2v1. If we're playing up against a general 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, even a 4-4-2, we may have this problem here with these two wide areas. So what we're wanting to do is, we're going to tell our strikers not to press the centre halves. We want the trigger press to occur once it goes in there. So once the ball goes into the fullback, we're then going to ask whoever it is, it may be a striker, it may be a shadow striker, one of the two, we're going to ask him to force the play inside. We've got that set up in our team instructions anyway, but we want to make sure that we're showing the two wing backs, the two full backs, on to their, not to their weaker foot, but to the foot, their opposite foot, basically. So for the right backs, we're going to ask him to show him onto his left foot, and we're going to ask our left back to be shown onto his right foot. We've set that up in the opposition instructions. The whole reason we've done that is because we want to force the play inside where we have an overload. Okay, so if it was a 4-4-2, we've actually got, if you can see here, in the midfield where the diamond is, we've actually got a 4v2. So ideally we want to cut off the line when we can. Let's encourage that fullback to come inside, and then we can maybe nick passes in here. We're asking Fernandes to mark tighter, tackle hard. So when the ball then does come into the midfield, we can then press aggressively and get the ball back. All right, so that's what we're trying to do. We're not going to push centre halves. We definitely don't want to do that with the centre halves, I think, because the reason behind that is, if we just set up here, if we start and they start quite deep and they're wanting to play out from the back, our strikers may end up being a little bit split. If he can't cut off the line and the pass is in and they've broken our mini press, all right, and then this might give, depending on what the shadow striker is doing, he may be in this central area because the strikers have split. It then gives this fullback the opportunity to carry the ball forward. So what we're trying to do is say, no, we're not going to press until that ball goes in there, and then we hopefully have in one of the strikers or the shadow striker being able to press the fullback. Okay, so that is what it looks like in the tactic, what we're trying to create. And then if we dive into opposition instructions, what we're doing right here. So trigger presses on the back, on the defenders. We're not trigger pressing any centre halves, as you can see. Trigger press, no, and the goalkeeper, no. We are trigger pressing the right back and the left back, and we're showing them onto their opposite foot. This is important. I want you to imagine Cancelo was left back for Manchester City. He's weaker foot, he's still his left foot, but if we showed him onto his weaker foot, that would show him down the line, and we don't want that because that's where they've got the space to run into. So it's important when you're setting up the opposition instructions, you do show onto left and show onto right, opposites depending on what fullback it is. In the middle midfield, we've got tighter marking on the midfield, whoever it is, the wide players or the central midfielders, because once that ball goes into the middle, of the midfield or into the wingers, we want to press aggressively. That's why if we quickly go back onto the board, this is why we've got on our fullbacks mark tighter. All right, so what we don't want is if the ball does come out, say a Salah, we don't want our fullback 20 yards away and allowing the player then to drive into even more space. I want him there. So when the ball is played into him, he's then got one option. He can try and turn and run, or it's going to force him to go inside or even play backwards. All right, but we're not going to allow the opportunity for the wide players to get a 2v1 in here to start off with, and at the same time allowing him to drive 20-30 yards up the pitch. So that's why we've got Mark tighter on, and we've done that for all the midfield. We want to be able to trigger press when the ball does go in here. We want to be able to press the ball as quickly as we can, so having the mark tighter makes sense. And then obviously we've got trigger presses, making sure that we're pressing the midfielders, the DM, the DMCL if they're playing with sort of like a deep double pivot. We want to press that as much as we can when that ball goes in there, because that's where we've got our overload. And then same thing with the wide players, depending on what they're playing. If they're playing a 4-4-2, we want to show the wingers inside, so the right midfielder shown onto his left foot, left midfielder shown onto his right foot. And if they're playing with an attacking right midfielder, once again showing him on his left foot, attacking left midfielder, showing him on his right foot. So I hope that makes sense. As I said, we're trying to drive the play in the middle of midfield where we've got these bodies. Now we're going to take a look at the match engine in a minute, show you a few nice little clips. What I want you to do though, what we're going to do now though, is just a look at the importance of the halfback and what we want him to do in this tactic. Okay, so there's two ways of really building play with the halfback, and it works really well. Sometimes when they're playing with a front two, he will drop in to make a 3. So we have a 3v2 in here. This then allows, I think, our fullbacks to get higher up the pitch. All right, so the ball then can be worked, maybe, so then we've got an overload in here, so the ball can then go out and then into midfield, or it can even, if they've split the strikers, McTominay, my halfback, will often come into this position here, get it off the keeper. He sometimes even dribbles with it, he'll pass into midfield that way. If they're playing with a lone striker, he will often just sit in front and help build play. There might be a case of the ball going out, it may attract the number 10, the attacking midfielder perhaps. If they're playing with a flat 3, just like that, it will then give McTominay so much time on the ball, the halfback, to drive with it, because you've got pretty much a 3v1 in there. He'll still come deep, get off the ball, he'll then drive, and he'll support play. Very, very important with build-up, and more importantly, it's actually worked really well in the match engine. I'm telling you, the halfback is one of the best roles in Football Manager 2022. Right, here we go, guys. First little highlight, just to show you how our build-up play works. So as you can see, we've got the fullbacks, the defenders coming short for the ball because we're going to play it from the back. There is McTominay, the halfback. There is Liverpool in their bog standard 4-3-3. And we're just going to show it materialises. Look, so once there's a press, we've kind of got the 3v1 in there now. And then McTominay's got time to turn and pass. And we're off, passing through lines. Shadow striker is actually Diallo. He comes in narrow. He comes in deep. So don't get put off by a shadow striker who you think he's always just going to push on and go on and not come in short and help out. There is our diamond. We've got the 4v3 in there. So we're able to play very quickly and break the Liverpool press. They're obviously one of the best presses in the world in terms of Liverpool. And we're off. Gavi's moving forward. I don't think anything materialises. He ends up getting tackled. There you go. But just a way of showing you how simple it is getting that ball into the midfield, breaking a press using the diamond. Okay, next little highlight is just a way of showing your rotation of position. So as you can see, Ahmad is the shadow striker. He's going to make that natural shadow striker run. So I'm running from deep, hoping that no one is tracking him. I imagine it should have been one of these here, probably Thiago to be fair, because he's playing as the DM. He doesn't get it, but then he checks back in, and we build play up again, look. There he is. He then again shows to feet, comes in deep for it, spreads the ball out to Ronaldo, and then we lose possession. But more importantly, the role of the half-back. Look, there he's got McTominay on a yellow card. He's going to get involved in a little bit, break up some play, get in a tackle in, and then we're off again. Passing, quick short passing, look. And then the role of Lewandowski. He's just peeled off a little bit. Complete forward. What you do get with the complete forward is a good variation of coming to feet and going in behind. This time he chooses to go in behind. Is he going to finish? Oh, yes, he does. He absolutely smashes it in. Now, moving on to the Wolves game, the Manchester United game, the last game of the season. We won 5-0. What we're looking at here is just how quickly and how effectively we pass through the lines. Vertical passes does help with the diamond as well. We're getting the overloads in. Players between the lines is key. So the ball, I think, comes down. We're then into Shaw. We're then in here, which is Kamara. He's in between, look, the midfielders of Wolves and also the attacking players. And it's just a couple of quick passes. Lewandowski comes off the shoulder, gets in between the back four and the midfield. And then it leaves Ronaldo to stay high and finish. Very simple, very effective, but you get that just because of the overload we have in midfield, forcing the play inside as well. And then obviously players dropping into half spaces, dropping into areas where we can break the lines. And what was it? 2-3 quick vertical passes. Okay, the next one's just to show you the role of Scott McTominay. Okay, so if you pause it. We're just going to show you what he gets up to. So he's chasing back. They're actually on the break here by the looks of it, Wolves. We get the ball back anyway. And then he just sits in to make a 3, look. He sits in to make a 3. Once the possession moves on, if we just track his run, he gets involved. And now look at all the space. Because Wolves are playing quite deep and not playing with a recognised sort of like strike. All right. And that just allows McTominay. And because Wolves are playing with, by looks of it, a little bit of a, going to get into a little bit of a blow block. It just allows Scott McTominay time just to keep the ball. Nothing fancy. Nothing at all. Are we going to score again here? No, we don't. We sky it over. But it just shows you Scott McTominay getting into the back three when needed and then progressing the ball in midfield. And I said if there's no pressure on him, he has all that room to work. So I think getting him half back, that is good. Calvin Phillips would be amazing at it because he can help defensively. He's very fit. Good defensive statistics, attributes, and he can also play a bit. So I think he would be an ideal half back. And then just with the half back, I'm just going to show you again. Here he is, Scott McTominay. They've kind of been playing with a lone striker as well. And he just keeps things ticking. He just keeps things ticking over. He finds a lovely little pass. And we score. Very simple, very effective. If we just take it back, it's just a combination of a couple of passes. So Scott McTominay, find a little bit of space. And then the vision. I don't think he's got great vision in FM, but he's the vision to find the overlapping run. What we have done is there, we've sucked players inside. Sucking play into midfield. Look, they're all pretty narrow, and it just gives Luke Shaw that opportunity on the overlap. There's Semedo, the right back, who's been sucked in, and it just gives Luke Shaw the opportunity to put a decent cross in. Sancho as well, the shadow striker, late run into the penalty box. You'll see your shadow striker score so many goals as long as you can create that overlap and you have a decent ball into the box. Okay, and then talking of the shadow striker, just watch his movement again. Diallo's movement. He goes into the box to make a front three, causing problems. So any balls into the box now, we've got 3 players. We've got a 3v3 in there. All right, so very important, especially when you're putting loads of crosses into the box. And then he just floats round. We're going to get the ball back. Just watch his movement still. And what I like about the shadow striker is, yes, he makes those late runs, but he also gets involved with the play. He helps out defensively, but also helping to build play through the midfield, switching it, and then he's off. He's off, and is he going to finish? He does. Brilliant goal, not only just helping out and helping build up play, coming in short, but then making late runs into penalty area. Late runs, the old give and goes off the striker, working with the front two. Nice little 1-2s, and he was in on goal. Okay, the last little clip we're going to show you is just the role of the fullbacks, and in particular because we've got Diallo, I think it's Diallo on that side, and Shaw. Remember, we've got Luke Shaw on attack, and just the difference in roles that they do. So as soon as Luke Shaw gets the opportunity, look, he's going. He's going for it. He wants to be involved. While Dalot just kind of stays, and he's more at looking ball to feet. He doesn't make Luke Shaw. You can see he makes a dynamic run. Luke Dalot had the chance, but just held his position a little bit. And the ball comes back out, and look at Dalot again. I think if he was on wing-back attack, it would be in these areas here. So he's helping, I think, just build play. Potential, if the ball was lost in here, Dalot would be probably in an area where we could get back in and help out the back three. So I think it's a nice, as McTominay fires it over, I think it's a nice way, a nice balanced way of having one pushing on. You could do either one, so if you've got a really strong left back and not so strong right back, we've gone with Luke Shaw, because often on the right-hand side, we sometimes have Wan-Bissaka, who's not good. We've also got Vindal as well, the Dutch left wing back. So where the idea is that we really get that left-hand side going. And then on the right-hand side, they will still get in. They will still get into these wide areas. They will still get into those wide areas, but what they won't do is they won't make that dynamic run as often. And they also come in a little bit now. Remember, complete wing back, you're asking that one of their player instructions is to roam from position. So naturally, he will come off the flank as well and help out in the middle of midfield. All right, guys, that is it. Hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what your thoughts down below to the using of the tactic board to explain it. Let me know if it was any good. Let me know if it was a load of crap. I hope it's been useful. It just makes it an easier way, because I can't afford the big fancy programs that they use on Sky Sports and stuff with the machine. I just thought it was a nice way of showing you how we want to set up the trigger press and working from the back. And then build up play from the back three, back two with the half back. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to smash the like on today's video, and we will see you next week. Antonio Conte, iconic tactic. Cheers, guys. Take care. See you later.